lose power. Woo!
I think it's slowing down.
Good. Miss Vinnie, invocation?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was told we cannot say amen, so it's not going to be a prayer. It's just we are 9 board members. We are to work together. And regardless of what our decisions we make, I don't try to force my decisions on anybody, and I don't want anybody to force their decisions on me. We are here for our representatives, the people who elected us as elected officials. We are to work with them. And when they call me and say, can you please help me in this area, what have you, I do the best I can. I believe, and I hope to believe it, and further time speaking of this, that we get along with each other, don't yell at each other, don't bring up. Last meeting looked terrible. I viewed it on the video and I was appalled. And I had several calls the next day and they asked how I was. Marion's fine. But if there's ever a meeting like that, I will not stay in this building. I will not resign my position, but I will not stay. We are to work together regardless what party we are, what religion, what nationality. And I pray from this time, I guess it is a prayer. I pray for this time forward that this would be so, that we all work together as a team. I thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Cuff?
Here. Okay. Mrs. Fitty?
Here.
Ms. Richardson?
Here.
Mr. Burrell?
Here.
Mr. Hobbs?
Present.
Mrs. Hummel?
Here.
Ms. Boykins?
Present.
Mr. Wright is absent. Mr. Cave?
I'm here.
Ms. Hoff?
Present.
You have 8 board members present.
Thank you.
Student reps are off.
Student reps are off. That's the flood. Okay. Board president does not have a fancy presentation to make with our new presentation board. She is deeply regretful. I hope everyone's enjoying their summertime. I would like a brief moment of silence for Mayor John Duke's son, John III, if we could. Thank you, everyone.
Jennifer, may I add to that?
Sure,
A note of silence for Mayor John Duke's son.
that's what I just said.
Was that what you said? I'm
Great.
getting
We're thinking the same way. That's a good start. Everyone, please be safe out there. We have no one to spare. Ms. Harkness, your turn.
Thank you. So good evening, and tonight I want to focus on numbers. I first want to report that our summer programs are going well this year. We have our ESY, our ESL, and K-2 Academy serving over 350 of our students. I visited the programs last week and saw happy children participating in writing activities, discussions, and looking forward to making their tie-dye t-shirts. Our summer feeding programs have served over 10,000 meals this summer. So I wish to express my appreciation for all the teachers and the support staff that have given up their summer to work these programs. All of our programs will end this week. We have received our preliminary PSSA scores. We will not get the final percentages of student performance until August. We're working on trying to get those numbers on our own, but from the state we'll deliver them in August. So parents and guardians, the parent letters will be mailed home to you in your summer mailings from your home or your assigned schools. We are very busy getting ready for the 2016-17 school year. Materials are being ordered, trainings are being set up for staff, and hiring is happening on a daily basis. Several of our schools are getting some much needed work, new roofs, flooring, and deep cleanings. Thank you to the maintenance people working so hard to make sure we are ready to open schools in September. Last week, I was able to attend the new superintendent's training held in Harrisburg. The 2 days were jammed with packed and received great advice from current superintendents. There were 35 new superintendents in attendance at this first session from all over the state. As I said, I want to look at numbers. We currently have 2,645 students enrolled in the elementary schools, 729 at the middle school, 387 for the 9th grade at Cypress, and 950 at Green Avenue. So parents, if you've not registered your kindergarten student, please do so as quickly as our classrooms are filling up. And 9th grade parents, if you have not re-registered your student, it is imperative that you do that in order for us to properly prepare the Chromebook equipment that we will be using. 9th grade parents, please also be looking for a letter regarding the Chromebook usage and fees within the next week or week and a half. A few more numbers before I close my remarks. 16 working days until our administration meetings, 18 working days until new teacher orientation, 19 working days until teachers begin, and 25 working days until our students return. Summer goes by fast.
Ooh.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Harbert. And summer does go by fast, does it not? May I have a motion to approve the agenda, please? Any conversation? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone against? Student representatives have the summer off. Do we know who we're getting as new student? Oh, sorry. Motion to approve the minutes of the business meeting of June 27th? Moved. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone against? Great. Students have the month off. Do we know who we're getting for next year? No. Can you find out? Thank you. Special awards, we have none. A nice shout out to our local boroughs for acknowledging our kids. I think a couple kids were acknowledged over in Yaden last week. The track team was, and Lenny was at Lansdowne Borough Council last week also. So thank you, boroughs, for having us. Ask us back as much as you want. Public comments regarding agenda items. Anyone? Nobody? All right, hearing none. Communications, Mr. Cuff.
There are no communications.
Thank you. Committee reports. Ms. Boykins, Community Relations, please.
A1, mandatory re-registration required for high school freshmen. A2, August sneak peek days. Sneak peek days have been incorporated into the calendar for the coming school year. Sneak peek is an opportunity for students and parents to visit the school to meet and greet with teachers and staff in an open house atmosphere. Sneak peek days will take the place of back to school nights that are customarily held in September. Sneak peek day for Penwood Middle School and Penwood High School will be Tuesday, August 30th, 2016, 6:30 to 8:30. And sneak peek day for elementary schools will be Wednesday, August 31st, 2016, from 6:30 to 8:30. In addition, orientation for the 9th grade academy program at Penwood High School Cypress Street campus will take place on Tuesday, August 30th, from 6:30 to 8:30. Teachers will have classroom information available during sneak peek. Both students and parents are invited to attend the sneak peek events as we welcome our families back for a new school year. A3, registration for the ACT and SAT exams. I'm just going to read that because it's very important. Deadlines to register for the September and October SAT and ACT exams are fastly approaching. Students who want to take the September 10th and or October 22nd ACT test should visit the ACT website at www.actstudents.org for registration options. Students who want to take the October 1st SAT exam should visit the College Board website, www.collegeboard.com. And Penwood High School is a testing center for the October 1st SAT and the October 22nd ACT exam. Visit the College Board, SAT, and ACT websites in completing testing schedules, registration details, and more information about the test. So there are the dates for the ACT and SAT testing. A4, summer registration continues for the 2016 and 2017 school year. And that's pretty much it. The one thing I just want to add about the ACT, it's some people don't, some kids don't really look at the ACT and think about taking it because they hear more about the SAT. Just to put it out there, a lot of minorities score better in ACTs versus SATs because it's a subject-based. And due to our the population that we have a high minority population of students. So I just want to put out there we should consider and try to push them to take the ACT as well. That's all.
My theory is take them all. Take them a
Definitely
couple
take
of
them all.
times.
Definitely take them all.
And regarding the rumor mill that we're about to hear, after sneak peek takes place, you're gonna hear parents say, when is back to school night?
Yes.
Okay, so we need to emphasize that back to school night is sneak peek, because they're used to hearing back to school night in September. So we need to get that message out there loud and clear. You will hear in September from your constituents, we didn't have a back to school night.
Yes.
So maybe in the promo that we could do, we could like be sneak peek back to school.
Yeah, it used to be called back to school night.
AKA,
Yeah.
also known as. All right, any questions on community relations? Hearing none, with nothing to vote on. See that? I got halfway through. I didn't ask for a first or a second. I forgot. All right, education, Mr. Cave, please.
P1 is our release and settlement agreement.
Great.
Motion.
Yeah, second?
Second.
Anyone have a question? Any questions? Yes, ma'am.
With these settlement agreements, do we know the amount that it's cost us with these settlement agreements?
Yeah, Catherine,
Yes, I have to do a cheat sheet.
catch it on, Catherine.
Pardon?
You catch it on.
Two of them are compensatory ed funds for $11,650 each. One of them is a compensatory ed fund for $13,750.
Can you please speak up?
Yes.
Second one was what, 30?
Well, the first two.
I got that.
Okay. So the next one is $13,750 compensatory ed fund and placement in a private school for 3 years. One of them is $25,000 compensatory ed fund instead of a private school, which was what was originally asked for. And the final one, I actually didn't get to, but it is $12,000.
So,
And just as a reminder, the comp ed is just money put aside. It doesn't actually mean that that money will necessarily get spent. It's a bank account that the student can use.
Like an escrow.
Yeah, and it often does not actually get used in full.
Well, I just want to know what the money
Yeah,
figure is,
no.
and I know it does impact us, but it comes out of different way.
We get all those funds back once they're going spent.
Did you say the $25,000 one was for a private school?
No,
That was the last one.
$13,000.
no, that was instead of a private school. The original demand was for private school for several years, which would have been much more expensive and was not necessary, so.
So it is for private schools, what Lowell was asking.
No, it's a compensatory ed fund, not private school,
Okay.
in place of that. So, and I did want to add, just for the board's information, that we have made a change so that almost all of the compensatory ed funds are being managed by me, so that we don't have to pay fees to an ARC trust or somebody else who's just getting money every time we deposit money into it, and we don't have to put the money up front. It is held in escrow, so we're not writing checks.
great.
All right, thank you.
All right, any other questions? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone against? Great, Ms. Hummel, personnel, please.
Okay, C1 resignations, you can see them listed there, psychologist, therapist, teacher. We have appointments, special education supervisor secondary, professional staff, various teachers, And this is typical at this time of year that we list all of the folks who are starting with us in September. Then we have changes in assignment. People who are replacing folks who have retired, people who are moving from one place and replacing somebody at another place for reassignment. And that's including the assistant principal from the Penwood High School Cypress to assistant principal at the middle school. And after we have a motion in a second, I can give my report.
I have one question.
We'll make a motion.
Okay.
I move the agenda.
Right, second? Second. All right.
Okay, I would like to, well, why don't we have questions on this agenda, and then I can give the report on personnel.
Are any of these new appointments enrolled that did not exist last year?
You mean, are there new positions?
Yeah.
No, these are all replacements.
Every single one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's, yeah, and the replacement's always noted,
So it's
like
not-
the exact chart.
Okay. I just want to kind of confirm, and I'm sure for all of them, I mean, we do have some family members and relatives and, in our boroughs, nepotism is a big issue. And we've all, can you just confirm that we've advertised and gone through the due diligence for each role?
Yes.
Awesome.
Okay, we had a meeting of the Personnel Committee on July 11th. Mr. Conley attended, Mr. McKay was there too, as I recall. You were at that meeting? Must have been another one I was attending. I was there, Mr. Wright, Mr. Cave, Ms. Hoff, and we had 8 members of the community and staff were there, which was very exciting. We reviewed the terms of the SRO agreement proposal. These were the same terms proposed by the board in earlier discussions. Mr. Conley, has that been signed, approved? Is that coming to us for final?
Yes, we would place it on the August agenda, which is August 22nd, and it's still before the school safety officers begin their employment.
Okay, and
just
those were all
from,
the terms were the same.
Right.
You gave us an update on personnel status, which is basically reflected on the agenda you see tonight. So between July 11th and tonight, those changes were made. Are there any additional updates you would like to give us at this time?
Just as Ms. Harvard had mentioned, we're interviewing very heavily. We have second interviews on Wednesday for the 2 school psychologist openings, interviews on Wednesday for the cyber school position, and interviews on Thursday for the special education openings. So we'll be very much nonstop interviewing until the positions are filled.
Okay. Do we assume, are we hopeful that we're going to have all the positions filled with full-time people, not just long-term substitutes, or there will be some because we have some people leaving intermittently, right? Or on an
Correct. We have probably about 7 or 8 long-term sub-openings.
because of sabbaticals.
There's 4 sabbaticals. There's 2 or 3 other leaves that would have to be, may not be the whole school year,
Family
but they'll.
medical leave, that kind of thing.
Correct.
Okay. Then the bulk of our meeting, I'm happy to report, was a discussion on diversity, specifically minority representation among the members of our staff here. Information was distributed that I believe the board received at its last meeting, showing that among the professional staff, which included administrators and certified teachers and other certified folks and people in front of the students, we are at 25% minority representation. Certainly not enough, but probably the second best in the county after Chester. We also saw a dearth of male representation, and we need to focus on that. Among all staff, however, if you put forward all of our employees, including our SROs who are in front of our kids probably as much as our teachers or anyone else, we are at 33% minority employment in this district, which a figure we can be proud of. However, we do want to do better. We always want to put more folks in front of our kids, especially, I think we talked about black males in front of our kids. But first we had to be realistic and discuss the barriers to that. If you read Sunday's Inquirer and anything on the topic even before Sunday, there has been a 60% decline in applications for certifications to PDE in the last year. 60% decline overall of teachers applying for jobs, or for certification. So that reduces our pool by more than half. Now, if you're talking about attracting people to the positions in the William Penn School District, among those 40% who still are coming into teaching, at the mid-level, William Penn School District pays 20% less in salaries at mid-level employment. And some of the teachers present were open enough to discuss with us that some of the teachers, especially the younger teachers who come in, get their 3 years or so and then move on, might have some issues with regard to the current working conditions in the district. And again, this is from the point of view of teachers. This hasn't been discussed widely. Issues of physical space and needing to share physical space, support from administration, and consistency across the district and across personnel in terms of discipline issues. And we promised at that meeting, the board members did, that we would have a conversation with Ms. Harbert and whoever else we needed to about those issues, because they come up again and again and again. And if there is merit to those, and I believe there is some merit to those, we need to figure out systematically how we address that. Because consistency and discipline is very, very important and affects the morale of our frontline employees, our teachers. So, not ending on a note of hopelessness, we did outline some preliminary approaches to increasing our minority representation among our faculty. And the first was to attempt to increase student-teacher participation in our district by, and this was Mr. Wright's idea, approaching the deans of education specifically at Cheney and Lincoln universities, although their education programs there have limited certification. I think K through 4 is one of them. And we also talked about then making perhaps a more global approach to deans of education in the immediate area, and we asked Mr. Connolly to put together a proposal in which we would host the deans of education of some of the closer in schools, Temple University, St. Joe's, LaSalle, because when you're talking about folks getting here, even from Westchester, Cheney, Lincoln, you're talking about folks having to get here to student teach. Public transportation from the suburbs in is not that great for our district. So we need to talk about how we might do that and overcome those barriers. So we're going to look at that proposal and perhaps get some of those deans of education out here while school is in session. We can take them on a tour. We can have them perhaps have lunch with some of the teachers who have had student teachers with them, and to talk about some of the pros and cons, the barriers, etc. And that we need to use our faculty for a resource to get their feedback on the student-teacher experience that they've had in their classroom, to see what might encourage them to take that role on more and more. And then Rafi came up with a great idea, which is, we have a great deal of pride here in William Penn. Once you're in William Penn, once you're in Penwood, you're always from William Penn, you're always from Penwood. And taking that point of pride into consideration, we might want to look to our alumni. I believe a survey was done of our alumni, at least 300 of them responded, and we found that 1/3 of them were in education. 1/3 of the 300 that responded, which is fairly good. So we want to create another rubric of questions for them to find out what areas of education they're in, what they would consider in terms of coming back to our district to participate. And we may want to do something on our website or do something on cable, for instance, interview one of our returning folks as to why you're back here, and other folks who graduated from here who are back here and participating with our kids. One of the suggestions I made was perhaps offering a supplemental at the high school level and putting together a student group of future teachers of Penwood, and having students do a career exploration of what it's like to be a public school teacher, to maybe shadow some of our teachers and get our kids recruited before they even leave for college, so that they keep in mind that they can come back here to teach. So that was the substance of the meeting, and I look forward to Mr. Conley's proposal for the Dean of Education, and anything else anyone has to add, we're most welcome of suggestions.
Great, thanks Charlie, it was a great meeting.
It was a good meeting.
Any questions? Yes, Ms. Fiddy.
Yes, I led the last meeting at the summer helpers, the student helpers for the summer programs. Are out of, I'll just say out of 15, 20, if any of them going into early child development, where there'd be an asset to us that they're going into college, or are all these children just helping for the summer programs? Do we know that?
We don't know that. But that is a good question to ask, and we
I
could
mean,
ask that.
The reason why I asked that, because I find that when they go to college, they can use it as credits.
Right.
And I'm wondering if we're
Yeah,
recruiting.
they won't let them use their job as credits.
No, well-
But I
Put on their
understand what you're
resume.
saying.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah,
definitely
I
on
mean-
the resume.
But I'm wondering, out of all these students here, I see some names I know.
Where are you, where are you?
I'm on
Okay,
page
page
11, but last month it was page 16. I'm just curious, then we do student helpers. They're making $12 an hour.
Right.
How many out of them maybe go into early, like, child development, per
Right.
se?
We can, well, they leave soon, so, but next year we can look at that.
Yeah. And Rafi, you had said something about nepotism? I don't quite know where,
I just want to make sure we're as transparent with some of our hiring practices.
okay,
That's all.
all right, thank you.
Great. Anybody else have any questions?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm looking at the appointments.
Yeah, what page?
Well, it's
Right.
all the pages,
Right.
and I'm looking at it, like, I'm sure maybe this is like the starting salary, step one. And it's like 1, 2, 3. It's about 6 teachers coming in,
Right.
for step one.
Correct, so that is the start.
And I think you said we're wondering why we don't get teachers. Step one, $45,000.
Yeah.
Well, it's actually, our step one isn't bad.
Compared to other
It's not
districts.
good.
No,
No,
but compared to other districts, it's not bad. It's when you get into the middle years, like 7 years in, 8 years in, we're terrible. That's when we really start losing people. Our first year salaries are not great, but compared to other districts around us, they're pretty competitive. It's when you start moving up, we fall behind by 20%. Yeah, it's bad.
But how is this gonna
One of the
be a
things,
target to bring in teachers?
Yeah,
and
but
get
one of the
here?
things that because we are a district with low income, some of these folks come in and they work for us. If they work for us for 5 years, they get their student loans, forgiven, which is a big plus for a lot of these students.
There's nothing, this is a budgetary issue. We could want to pay everyone more, but budgetarily, we can't do that. And so,
We choose not to.
well, we choose not to do that.
We choose not to do that.
Raise our salaries.
More.
We'd have to raise,
We have the choice.
we would have to raise taxes, is what we're trying, what is fact. How do we get more money to pay more teachers? Or how do we get more money to do anything? Fix our buildings better. The money's not coming from the state.
I understand what you're saying, but also too, we have principals, we have other places where we can make cuts to try to shed off to pay our teachers a little bit more, if we're serious about actually paying our teachers a little bit more. There are, not pointing out people's salaries now, but we can, in some way, lower salaries in other areas to help compensate if we're very serious about upping, teacher salaries.
But then the question is, what impact does that have on those positions? For instance, if we said, say somebody was leaving, because you can't just lower somebody's salary, obviously. If somebody's leaving and we're going to cut that salary by $25,000 so we can pay teachers more, how is that going to impact the quality of the principal we get? Or, like now, we just cut out an entire principal in order to just keep under that 1.9 versus 1.5. So we could support teachers more, I agree, and they should get paid more money. But if you take it out of another person's salary or another position's salary, not a person, you're going to impact the quality that we're going to get there.
Well, okay, so I'll give you an example, just like, if we're paying somebody, say we're paying somebody $100,000,
Right.
$120,000, right? If we take them down to $90,000, I'm just saying in general, I'm just
Right.
putting out
What's
there,
going to
we take
happen is the other districts who are paying not just $100,000, but $130,000, they're going to get the best candidates for their positions.
I totally understand that.
So it's all connected, is what I'm saying.
It is all connected, but I think too, also, we would be able to get principals or whatever position we're talking about in general with coming at a certain, if we went under. I really do feel as though, because right now, if we're suffering with regard to not, just saying with our teachers in general, we know that we need to get more teachers and qualified teachers. I feel like at the end of the day, we're able to do that. You know, I just want to put it out there that we do have control of how much our teachers can pay.
But there's a cost then.
Yeah, and I don't want to belabor it, I just disagree a little bit. I mean, while looking to make salaries more efficient, I think that's always a great idea. But I think it's a revenue thing. I mean, honestly, I think you still need to pay top dollar for the folks that you want. I mean, you get what you pay for. But if we continually shortchange our revenue, we can't have it both ways.
Sorry, if I may, just quickly, is that we're too far away. Even if you eliminate 3 positions at $300,000 a year, 100 teachers, we're talking about $3,000 difference. If we just give it straight to the teachers, that's still too far away. I mean, some of these mid-tier teachers are making $30,000 to $40,000 more at 15-year levels. It's just too high. It has not. Even if we do raise the taxes, it's still not there. Unfortunately, we're at a bad spot because unfortunately the money just isn't there.
No, and I do agree. I do agree with what you're saying. I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm just saying that we do have the power to make change in that area. With regard to revenue, if we also keep saying that we don't have the revenue, and where do we come to?
That's,
you know what I'm saying?
a fact. I mean, it's hard to turn to a teacher and say it's okay for you to make $15,000 less. I mean, 'cause these teachers, they have families as well. I mean, it's just too far to go out. The gap is, it's beyond us in this room.
Oh,
unfortunately, we can't fix it. It's beyond us.
Well, I think you fund what, you know, I often say at budget season, you fund what you value, right? So that, I mean, you know, the conversation's a little late right now. So Rafi's gonna start our budget conversations in September, and we gotta get serious, because if you think we had a revenue shortfall last year, next year looks worse, worse. Anybody else? So now the good part, we have 2 new fellows to introduce, Kyle Hill and Joe. Dental's back. To introduce, so stand up.
Good evening. My name is Kyle Hill. I'm the principal at Penwood Middle School. It's a pleasure to be back home to serve our kids in our community, to give them exactly what was given to me and more. My claim to fame is I love to look for the best in kids, because I know growing up there were often times that I didn't see the best in myself. So that's what I really love to do, is highlight the kids' strengths and accent them and make sure that they grow to be all that they can be and more. So it's a pleasure to be back, and thank you for having me.
Great. Well, next time I'll let you go first.
That's okay. I'm Joe Dentalspeck. I'm the new principal of Ardmore Elementary School. I'm humbled that you've given me this role. I'm excited to get started working with our young people to create a school of excellence and a school where every child can learn. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, guys. Welcome. Thank you. All right, moving on. I'm sorry, all those in favor? What?
Where are you from, sir?
I am from the Abington area, but I have an uncle and aunt who live on Wycombe Avenue.
Tom?
Yes.
Okay. That's Tom.
The name?
It's a hard name to die.
Well, the whole name ain't much better. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone against? Great, thank you all. Property. D1, there is some small change orders here. Change order on Penwood Green, a change order on Alden, D1, D2, I'm sorry, Cypress Street, second floor project. Any questions? Can I have a move? A second? Thank you. Any questions?
Yeah, I just want to clarify, D1, as I think I understand it. basically what you're doing is you're releasing from the allowance pool $15,000 to cover things that might come up between now and the end of the project?
Yes.
So the original change order was for less than $15,000, about $9,000. We're doing $15,000 in case something else comes up with the structural. There are allowances out there that they're going to come back. So it's going to be an offset is what it's going to be at the end of the project.
Right, okay, gotcha.
And the same thing is going to happen over with.
So this is not additional to what was budgeted, this is using your allowances that we know are coming back to us?
At the end of the project. Correct.
Gotcha.
The same thing is going to happen over at Alden, right, with the way it's set up.
Okay, thanks.
Question, where's the allowance coming from?
From other areas that they had projected that that we're not going to use.
So hypothetically, if the amount is 15, and they don't use it, we get,
It'll be less, correct.
because I know you did, like Charlotte said, it was 9. Then it went to
And it will come
15.
back.
Why, excuse me? Charlotte, excuse me?
Then it will come back to us if they don't.
I know, but why did it go from 9 to 15?
It didn't go, the 15 is just in case something else comes up, so we don't have to come back again and ask for an additional $6,000 or $7,000 or $8,000.
But my question is, when these people are up there doing this, wouldn't they see it prior before having to come back for another change order?
Ideally, you would, sometimes you think so, but again, once you start pulling stuff up and you open things up, sometimes it's a lot more than what the naked eye can't see. Even though you do testing in certain areas, sometimes items are going to come up that you just did not predict.
Any other questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone against? Thank you all. Budget and Finance, Mr. Cave?
E1 Treasury Report, E2 List of Bills.
May I have a second?
Second.
Any questions from the Board of School Board Directors? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone against? Fabulous. Policy, Ms. Richardson, please.
Policy, F1 is the second reading of policies 221.1246 and policy consolidation employee section, and which deals with the dress code. We went over that in the last meeting. And the student wellness and the consolidation of all employee sections into the 300 employee section. That's for the second reading. We also had the first reading of the policy, the board procedures, and I'll just go over a few of these with you. Number 1, the board shall consist of 9 members. The superintendent will have a seat on the board and the right to speak on all matters, but not the right to vote. Sorry, Jane. The qualifications have to be 18 years of age, a resident of the district for at least 1 year prior to the date of election, and shall not have been removed from any office of trust under federal, state, or local laws. They shall not be engaged in a business transaction with the school district, be employed by the school district, or receive pay for service from the school district. Okay. Number 4, they shall take and subscribe to the oath of affirmation. They shall file a statement of financial interest annually by May 1st while serving on the board. And vacancies on the board, if there's any remaining members of the board within 30 days of occurrence of a temporary vacancy, the school director so appointed shall serve until the school director returns from active duty, that's like military, or until the expiration of the term. Each school director shall be for 4 years. Whenever a school director is no longer a resident of the William Penn School District, his or her eligibility to serve on the board shall cease. If a school director shall neglect or refuse to attend 2 successive regular meetings of the board, unless by sickness or whatever that prevents you from serving, the remaining member of the board may declare such office vacant on the affirmative vote of a majority of the remaining members. I think this is in effect, but we really haven't stuck to this policy.
Well, it's more optional, right? Am I correct? Like it's at our.
It's there for the board to use.
Why can't we do?
No, I mean, just saying, we could have done that a million times.
Pardon me?
But we
No.
chose not to.
All right, anything else?
Wait. On the principles for governance and leadership, it just says the school boards are committed to providing every student the opportunity to grow and achieve. Therefore, school directors collectively and individually will advocate earnestly, lead responsibly, govern effectively, plan thoughtfully, evaluate continuously, communicate clearly, and act ethically. And to reiterate on that, act ethically, I think it should never use the position for improper benefits for self or others, and abide by the majority decision.
All right, thank you. Any questions? Oh, a second, please.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions from the Board of School Board Directors? All those in favor? Anyone against? All right. Solicitor's report.
We did have an executive session this evening to discuss litigation with Chester Community Charter School and the bus lot, real estate matter with the bus lot. And the board is going to solicit commercial realtors to basically give us their portfolios, and the board will make an election about with whom to list the property.
Great, thank you. Any questions? Sir, yes.
We talked about the charter school before.
I did, I said that
Yes.
first. Yeah.
But how come in the other charter school, the way meetings, there were students from Philadelphia coming? And I heard that was not acceptable either.
I'm not sure which.
It's in this.
Oh, in theory, I mean, the law reads that you're supposed to only do students in your host district. If you run out of students, then other districts can provide students. But I haven't looked at their enrollment figures to know whether they offered spots.
They can take children from anywhere they want.
That's why our kids wind up
We
somewhere
don't,
else.
we don't pay for them.
I know that, but also when I put up to an elected official, they were highly upset the fact that 14 families from Philadelphia came here when charter schools were in Philadelphia, is what I was told.
Right, but that's how that whole shit
Yeah,
rolls.
yeah, I get that. So I'm just asking Dave what he brought up earlier.
Yeah.
Thank you. What?
Yeah, that didn't work. I'm sorry. Any old business?
There's no.
Any new business? No new business. All right, Mr. Wright is not here, so we will not hear about Delaware County Community College. Mr. Burrell, Delaware County Intermediate
There
Unit?
is no report, there is no meeting.
Great. When's your next meeting?
August. It's the third Wednesday in August.
All right, great. We'll look forward to your next report. Mr. Cave, Delaware County Legislative Council.
Actually, no report. However, I do want to talk really briefly. We attended a meeting with Senator Angela Melvin to talk about really increasing commercial responsibilities to the tax base and to the revenues that we so desperately see. And we will have a follow-up meeting in September. And it's we'll keep everyone on.
Great. Anybody else? Hearing none. Exciting. Comments from citizens regarding non-agenda items. Anyone? Anyone can talk. It's your chance. 5 minutes of fame. All right. Hearing none. Yes, ma'am.
We meet year round. Is there anything that says that we have to have meetings every month? Is there anything?
Yeah, we do.
Every month we have to have a meeting?
Well, you have an existing board policy that requires it. The school code actually may require only once every 3 months.
Yeah, quarterly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
although I will tell you,
Done that way.
there is no school district in the Commonwealth that doesn't meet at least once a month. And I mean literally none. But you know, you could change the board policy to skip a July meeting. The problem you run into is you then have to pre-authorize the business office to take care of their monthly bills, right? Because those are always on a 30-day schedule. So,
Right. Next month, we will be talking about whether we want to go back to our committee of the whole meetings on the third Mondays.
Yeah. I thought we already started that.
We said we would do it for 3 months, and we did it. We did April, May, June.
But then this month, we got a call that the meeting was canceled.
No.
The third meeting of the month.
We
Last Monday.
Okay, but we said we were only doing it for 3 months. We would do our regular 1 month meeting for the summer, and then in August, we would talk about whether we're going back to 2 meetings a month.
Why was the meeting canceled last Monday?
We weren't never supposed to have it. They were just reminding you that there wasn't a meeting.
Okay, several emails are going back and forth, and I'm thinking, why did we not have a meeting?
Because we said we weren't going to have a meeting.
The meeting that was canceled was the meeting Colwyn. It was the Colwyn meeting for the variation on the property. That's the meeting was canceled.
I thank you for.
The 19th.
Yeah, the 19th.
19th.
I'm so what?
It was for the 19th that they canceled.
Right.
Yep.
I mean, I have no problem going with the Mondays.
All right,
Third and
so
fourth Monday, because I think with that happening prior, we did lose out a lot of information.
so
I
we,
think bringing that back would be a good idea,
great.
but then not have 5 other meetings in the same month.
Right.
That third Monday of the month should bring our property people, our personnel, our budget, everybody who's chair, bring in something that Monday night.
Well, you can't always do your meetings, you can't always do budget when you're doing property, personnel, and whatever. But we'll
But
talk.
we can talk more in depth about those subjects if we have that meeting.
Correct,
Yeah.
correct. So, next month, we'll talk about whether we want it, we'll take a vote, and we'll either start it in September or not start in September. Okay, so think about it. So in August, when you come, you don't say,
Are
right,
we still discussing non-agenda business?
for you.
All right, I had the pleasure of viewing East Lansdowne last week. I noticed there was a dumpster there, but cleaning out the basement janitorial room, which deservedly needs it. But I went into the tot lot area, and it was deplorable.
the what area?
The tot lot, the playground tot lot, which I had gotten done 25 years for grant money. The slide is, one slide's broken. There's no mulch in the play area, only where the tree is. The mulch is gone. There was trash and debris. If I had a box of rubber gloves, I would have picked it up. I did take several pictures. I am horrified to how this playground tot lot became, because it wasn't like that back in the day. I also know that we're putting a dumpster there to clean out the janitorial room. It needs it. But I was told that we may put an art room in here or a music room.
Correct. We discussed this last meeting, Ms. Finney.
Okay, I know we discussed that, and I want to make it clear that in discussion, I was not aware of that until last weekend when I put it up. In any further discussions that I would discuss with you, and I would like to be involved in what's going on in East Lansdowne, because I am the elected official there. Not that any board members can't view my school. It's not just my school, but I am the elected official.
Right.
And when I don't know what's going on, it kind of ruffles my feathers. Like Monique said earlier, you hear things in the grapevine, you don't know if it's true or not. One end don't know what the other end
Right,
knows.
We
I
discussed
just want
this
to
in
be
June.
sure that the next, because I'm not aware of all this. And I did email Jeff, and we did talk in a little bit of length, but just the next time, because I know when we went with the budget, there was going to be cuts made. And according to my emails that I'm receiving, there really wasn't really many cuts. Jane is doing a fabulous move of moving some vice principals over to Ninth Grade Academy, and then doing that. I mean, so how are we having the money to do, because this wasn't on a Sumter project. That part of it was not on a Sumter project to do in East Landau. It just came up.
It's on this list.
It wasn't on this prior that I had. About cleaning the
Okay.
rooms and cleaning that.
Right, you brought this up at our June meeting, we discussed it, the same conversation we're having now.
And I'm gonna,
And I understand what you're saying,
yeah.
and there's no, besides cleaning, there's no extra money incurred. It's gonna be cleaning and wiring that changes. The East Lansdowne did not have a computer lab,
You knew that.
and they needed one, right?
Get
So
that.
you gotta take opportunity. You can't have one, you shouldn't have one school out there without something that everybody else has.
But you also know that the janitorial room floods every time it rains.
Interestingly enough, it
There's no
has-
sub pump in there to pump the water out, because it gets at least 1 to 2 inches of water throughout the whole room.
We're looking at that. I believe the last time it rained, it did not get any water in it, but we believe that's coming in from the outside. So it's not coming up, it's coming in, but we're going to address that issue.
And when you do, I like to be invited.
It may not be an invitation. We turn to maintenance and say, address the issue. They address the issue, and we're done.
All right, so any of the other issues that I brought up at East Lens about the water coming in to an outlet's a regular outlet.
Right.
That has not been corrected. The only way, if water comes through the wall and goes into a regular outlet, it can start electric fire.
Right.
Now, if it was a GFI, that would shut off just that outlet and you wouldn't have any problems going through the building.
Right.
Those issues have not been addressed.
Mr. Frank?
Some of the issues have been addressed. Not all of the issues have been addressed. There is a section in the report that I provided tonight talking about the ground fault receptacles and an additional, basically, circuit box that's required to put them in. All right, it will be done by the beginning of the school year.
I'm just, because last meeting in June, when I asked you this, you said you didn't remember walking through with me when I had pictures in here. So just to relate that I would, I am nervous in case it does come through and the water does go into an outlet. It's going to cause electrical fire. I mean, in the boxes. I'm not going to drag on. But these issues are very,
Right.
we need to address them.
They're
And
going
they
to
need
be
to done.
addressed. And Ms.
I
Fitty, if we
agree.
could talk about this during property next time, that would be
Yes, I
excellent.
will.
Thank you.
But it wasn't on the agenda, so I brought it off the agenda.
You can bring up anything you want as we go around and say, any questions from Board of School Board Directors?
Mhm.
Anybody else?
Monique brought up a point about the communication, and I just think we attend our meetings at a relatively poor rate.
I'm
Not pointing at you, man. But I just think attending more meetings, everybody, will only increase the communication. I mean, I don't personally feel like I miss much of anything. You know what I mean? So I just think being at the table more when we're having, not everything is going to be on an agenda that gets emailed out. And I don't believe that there is anybody's withholding information. I just think sometimes things are discussed across the table, in different forums where you're not necessarily going to get it in an update.
I'm the first one to agree with you bringing back the third Monday of the month, which is a great asset. We need to bring that back. So we can discuss.
Great. Motion to adjourn?
announce the next meeting?
I'm sorry. The next meeting is Monday, August 22nd, right before school starts. So please come.
And I won't be here, that's why I wanted you to announce the meeting.
Oh, folk time.
I cannot attend that meeting.
Okay.
I will not be present.
You will be at a folk festival being a folk-like person.
I will be recovering from the folk festival.
She looks more like a hip hop festival.
All right. Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Thank you. We're out of here, people. Don't get too wet on the